Premise there.
Our live views from our ever trusty Cape cams, which you can see 24 hours a day on Space Coast Live.
Yeah, Max is over at Jetty Bridge right now setting up his cameras. We'll make sure we get to Max as soon as he is set up and is able to chat to us and tell us what he's seeing from his vantage point, which will be very exciting. So we're currently looking at the New Glenn on Launch Pad 36 over at the Space Force or Cape Canaveral Space Force side of uh, the launch area that we see in Florida regularly. And we are expecting to see the first time a reuse of the booster for this New Glenn mission. Now, Julia just mentioned a minute ago, Ryan, what a big mission this is. And often it gets compared to Starship. We can't help it really when we're talking about these things. Why is this mission so important for what we're going to be seeing in the future of space launch?
Well, when you look at it on Next Spaceflight, our website and app for tracking launches, it might not seem like that big of a deal because it's just, oh, it's just launching a broadband communication satellite. Why should I care about a broadband communication satellite? Well, this time around, with all due respect to AST Space Mobile, their payload isn't really the most exciting part about this mission. The most exciting part is that this almost 100-meter tall rocket is about to enter its partial reusability era. You know, right now there is one orbital rocket which has proven rapid reuse, or not rapid reusability, but regular reusability, I think is the correct term to use. We have Falcon 9, which, you know, can launch, each booster can launch roughly every 30 days or so at a good cadence. And they have a fleet of boosters, meaning they can launch, you know, Falcon 9 maybe every 3 days when they really have to, you know, press the button and get a fast cadence going. We haven't got a competitor to regular launch cadence. Just, we haven't seen a vehicle of this scale, a commercial vehicle of New Glenn scale launch since the last Falcon Heavy launch. That wasn't, you know, New Glenn 1 and New Glenn 2. It's been a little while, and we need heavy lift launch capability that's affordable and, you know, has a good cadence because these rockets are going to be so important.
Let's show it to you one more time.
15 minutes
Our
into
new
flight.
Glenn booster
Continuing to
out
see
on
good
the
data coming down
Jacqueline.
from GS2
Oh,
body
I
rate.
can't wait till she comes
Stable
home.
I have never seen
First
anything
coast.
more beautiful.
Continuing to see good
Not
tank
since the
pressure
first
control.
landing of
Bottle
New
pressures look
Shepard
good.
in November of 2015. My goodness, we are almost
10 years
almost
later.
exactly 10 years apart to land our booster. Just incredible. And now we're watching here. We've got a map here on the left. That's our stage one that, of course, made this beautiful landing on the Jacqueline, 375 miles off the coast. And what you're seeing there in the center of your screen, GS2 with NASA's Escapade satellites on board. We're waiting. We have about another 16, 17 minutes until we deploy the two satellites.
That's right.
First the blue, then 30 seconds later, the gold to give them some space. And then about 5 minutes after that, we also have a what we call a hosted payload on board, a Viasat radio tech demonstrator on board that we will also power on. But right now, all three payloads are exposed to space and are on a beautiful flight, a completely nominal flight so far on its way to space and waiting for deployment here.
And at 17 minutes into flight, landing the booster, of course, was a historic moment for us here at Blue Origin, but the show isn't over. Still tracking, of course, deployment of Escapade. And here's some of the milestones we want you to be aware of over the next 20-ish minutes. All right, at the T+25 minute, the second stage engine will ignite. At T26:44, we're going to have SECO-2, which is that second stage engine cutoff. And then, of course, at the T+33 minute mark, and that's when we finally get to see Escapade deploy. They're going to deploy and separate at about 30 seconds apart. First blue separation and then gold separation. And finally, as you mentioned, Ariane, we will have at about T+38 minutes that Viasat tech demonstration will turn on. But we have got one accomplishment under our belt, and as we await the second one with our mission today, I got the chance to actually catch up with Dr. Shannon Curry. Now, she's a project scientist on Escapade, and she explains how long it took to get to this point with Escapade and what this moment means for their missions. That Viasat tech demonstration
Approximately 6.5 minutes remaining in the coast.
Have got one accomplishment under our belt, and as we
These two body rates have remained stable throughout the coast.
Today,
And continue to see good data coming down from the vehicle.
Now, she's a project
Trajectory is nominal.
on Escapade, and she explains how long it took to get to this point with Escapade and what this moment means for their mission.
Shannon, can you kind of explain how Escapade really encapsulates the past, the present, and the future?
Yes, especially working with Blue Origin, what Escapade can do is tell us about what happened at Mars billions of years ago. It used to be habitable with oceans and lakes of water, but then something happened to its atmosphere. All of that water evaporated and dried up. Now we have this desert that it is today. And that brings us to today, which is that if we understand Mars's atmosphere and what it's doing, we can help protect future assets, especially not just robots landing on the surface, knowing how they enter that atmosphere safely, but it's not an if, it's a when humans actually go to Mars, and that brings us to our future. And so Escapade, working with a company like Blue Origin, is going to change how we get to Mars and how we protect our assets there, our robots and our crewed flight.
What is the most exciting part about being a part of this project for you?
So the thing I'm the most excited about is that this is going to change how we go to Mars. So we've never done a mission like this at NASA or really in any other part of the world. And using all of these commercial sectors where we're pushing the envelope and we're doing incredible kinds of technology to get low cost, high risk science and get our taxpayers the best bang for their buck, you can't beat that.
So can you dive in a little more and explain how both commercial and academic
Now just past 20
partnerships lead
minutes
to
into
something
flight,
like
less than 5 minutes remaining in the coast.
The academic environment means you just get to think for a living. You get to think of these ideas, and this is where the theory comes in. But then the commercial partnerships, these are the experiments,
And we are now
and these are
seeing
people
tank
who make
pressures
it happen.
increasing in
And all of
preparation
our
for the next
dreams
burn.
in academia, all of our dreams in universities happen. And NASA then enables that. We have this perfect 3 points of this like pyramid to do incredible and great things at places like Mars.
How long has this project been underway? I mean, when did the first idea for Escapade come about, bringing it to today?
Rob and I started thinking about this mission back in 2016 and 2017. And it took years years of the right partners, we found the right spacecraft, we found the right rocket. Here we are today. So we're coming up on 10 years in the making to make this happen.
So 10 years in the making to reach the point of launch. And then once it launches, you have another, let's see, we're in 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, another 5-ish years of getting the data before you get the data and then processing that.
5 years of science to me sounds like heaven. So I think for some folks waiting is hard, but for the science team, we are ecstatic. We will take every single bit of data that we can get. And again, with working with our partners, being able to get all of that data and enabling this incredible opportunity to explore not just Mars, but actually the entire trajectory there, that's science waiting to happen.
What is your message to all the collaborators who had hands on Escapade at this moment in time as you're kind of just waiting for it to deploy?
To all of our collaborators, thank you from the bottom of my heart. We're so excited. Can't wait to work with you. And we're going to totally change how we do things on Mars. As we get ready for launch, my final thoughts are go Escapade, go Blue. We're so happy to be here.
And we're so grateful to have you on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Of course, so great to be able to hear from Dr. Shannon Curry. The booster there, though, on the pad. It is a moment we are still kind of taking in and processing. Ariane, you and I...
Buzzing.
I'm excited.
Speechless. I am trembling. My jaw is still on the desk here. An incredible day. The star there, right? The second booster of New Glenn. The stars, all more than 10,000 employees here at Blue Origin. If you guys aren't as in shock as I am, this team has done an incredible job in the years, in the months leading up to this, in the minutes. There they are.
There's the team. That's Kent Washington, our headquarters. Wall-to-wall people, by the way.
To see our launch control recycle like that, to see the team flip around the rocket from a valiant attempt on Sunday, dealing with solar weather that we haven't seen in years, working closely with our customers, especially with NASA. Thank you for your patience.
And there's Huntsville, Alabama.
Just an incredible, the epitome of teamwork all the way along to this moment to see Glenn
Only the odds. And if you didn't know, that is what we have named this booster. It has been 10 years, as you said, Ariane, almost to the name this booster. It has been 10 years, as you said, Ariane, almost to the name this booster. It has been 10 years, as you said, Ariane, almost to the name this booster. It has been 10 years, as you said, Ariane, almost to the name this booster. It has been 10 years, as you said, Ariane, almost to the name this booster. It has been 10 years, as you said, Ariane, almost to the name.
I'll tell you, my 3-year-old, she just thinks that our rocket launches and lands.
Oh, yeah, that's all she's ever known.
That's all she has ever known. So to be able to show her this live, I'm super proud of being part of this team. I always have, and one of them today is an extraordinary highlight. Eddie, you've been here along with me for 11 years. How do you feel?
Well, no, congratulations. I mean, as you were talking about earlier, how we were sitting in the back porch of Mission Control in West Texas 10 years ago, almost to the day, and how far you've come. Mission Control.
You don't need a second job. You just need to learn how to talk to AI.
This Ramadan, while we gather around our tables, families
launched on the New Glenn mission, which will be coming out of Launch Pad 36. And talking about the launch pad area, Jan has asked, how has LC-36 been structurally reinforced to handle New Glenn's higher thrust compared to previous rockets? Do we know what kind of work has been done on the ground, Ryan, to make sure that it can support the mission today?
Launch Complex 36 looks extremely different to how it looked back in the earlier days of its existence, flying Atlas rockets, you know, Atlas Centaur, Atlas 2, Atlas 1, 2 and 3 from 36 Bravo. It is a very different to Atlas 1, 2 and 3.
And we have good indication. And we have good indication. And we have good indication.
Wait, what do you say again, Abel? Bro. Oh, look at this guy. Oh, chill, bro, chill. Oh, chill.
I thought that was up, my guy.
I So, excuse me. Devin! Yo, Devin, I'm over here.
No, I'm not done letting you. Yo.
Playing? Okay.
I'm playing.
Either.
Aren't pit bulls hairless? Pit bulls are hairless. We're not talking about pit bulls, man. You mean a pinky? What the f?
Hey, bro. Eyes.
Aren't pit bulls hairless? Pit bulls are hairless. We're not talking about pit bulls, man. You mean a pinky? What the f?
Hey, bro. Eyes. Hey, bro. Ready to play tag?
No. Woo! Jesus Christ!
Bro, you're not a Christian. You shouldn't be saying that. Ben, listen to Rishab. Tag, but this time with Rishab.
No! They're right in the way! They're right in the
It's just been so great to work with so many customers and to also show the world that, hey, we're here, we're in the game, we have a reusable booster, and this is just the beginning.
No, and we said it on the last webcast. We've got NASA Escapade, but of course there are other organizations, UC Berkeley, Advanced Space,
Rocket Labs
that have been part of that mission. But we've also got Viasat being one of the foremost satellite operators in the world. And these organizations took a chance on us. We get it. It was a new rocket. It had not flown when we signed with them. This means a lot to us that you have put your technology, your babies in our hands on top of this rocket. You trusted our team. You trusted our method. We got you there. And we cannot wait to take our other signed customers as well. Our method, we got you there.
Here in the next 20-ish seconds, that's when the Viasat demonstrator should be turning on. But not to worry, if we don't get an immediate signal, that is totally okay, because that just means it's not connecting to the ground system. They wait about another hour and then they try again. So some exciting stuff. And then just to know that we were a part of a payload going to Mars that we're going to be getting data from that's going to tell us so much more about the Red Planet. For us to send future humans to the Red Planet, how epic is that? Today was the first day in at least a 5-year mission.
Yeah, no, we're going to be soaking this in for another 5 years. The power of this mission. We're gonna feel it. It's not just something that's up and back. I mean, it is something that's up and back. I take that back. Look at that rocket. That rocket is up and back. But the other objective, of course, are payloads with NASA Escapade. We'll be working hard for us and working hard for NASA.
Yeah, and right now, there you have it. There is New Glenn out on the Jacqueline, right in the middle of the feather. Our ROV is currently helping save the vehicle, and I mentioned with you, I got to go out on the Jacqueline and they explain the operations. This is just step one. Then they're going to be able to go and secure all of those landing legs. And then once everything is good to go, a crew can come right back on the Jacqueline and get ready to bring it back here to Cape Canaveral.
And I mentioned this.
Oh wait, I just heard CSP has powered on, Viasat has powered on, it has made connection. That's a bonus. That's 3 for 3.
3 for 3. A great day for our customers, and that is really, really important. And you see we've talked about our robotic vehicle that is down there, right? We mentioned it at the beginning of the webcast. That landing pad is the same, has the same diameter, the landing zone, as New Shepard.
I know, New Shepard, and it's only 150 feet wide. So it's about 400 feet long, Jacqueline is, and 150 feet wide. I want you to imagine landing a skyscraper on something that is that size. Incredible. Oh, and then there you have it. There is, of course, we're continuing to monitor GS2, but now we know Escapade is deployed, Viasat is working. So with that, it has been an incredible, fantastic. I don't know if there's enough words for me to say about what this day means for everyone here at Blue, for the space industry, for New Glenn, and for Escapade. Just wow.
Yeah. I mean, let's take a moment to reflect on the key moments of today's mission. We not only met our mission objectives today, we exceeded them. That's right. Some of those, just to call them out, we had a clean liftoff. The 7 BE-4 engines, they burn that beautiful blue LNG. I wish we could say that we planned it like that, but no, we use the LNG because it's beautiful. It works really well in these vehicles. Stage separation. The two stages separated. We then had the second stage that made a nice clean burn to get our payloads into orbit. We safely delivered the payloads. And then, of course, we had the first booster landing ever of New Glenn.
Oh, what happened? Oh, something happened today?
Yeah, we had, there's that thing that happened. Glenn came back for the first time ever. These are just incredible feats of engineering. It is very hard to do. I think by now we think that it's just normal. As I said, my child thinks that it's normal, but it is so difficult when you're trying to land. And now the next critical step for our team here will be to get that booster back, look and see how it's performed, and of course do the refurbishment on it, because we are going to fly that booster again.
Absolutely. That was just round one. And of course, Ariane, I just have to tell you for a moment, it's been an honor to have you here on the desk with me. I mean, you have such an incredible career under your belt, being able to help walk our viewers through every important step and every important moment here. I mean, you are just the legend herself, so thank you, and I'm so grateful I got to share this moment with you, holding your hands, holding our breaths, watching the booster land.
Thank you, Tabitha. It's been an honor, and thank you so much for being on the desk with me. This is a day that I will never forget. It's being able to be part of this flight today. It's been something so central to the worth of us here at Blue Origin.
Right.
For so long, not just since we landed New Shepard, but since we started this company. And to be part of this historic day, I mean, people have said, well, why have you stayed so long at Blue? Why do we stay so long at Blue? Because we're doing extraordinary things. And we have an extraordinary team. It's an honor to be part of this one.
And it's been an honor for me to be able to represent more than 10,000 of you here on the desk, being able to speak for Team Blue. But if you were inspired, listen, I love a shameless plug, so come here. If you were inspired and energized by what you saw today, because as we said, this is just the beginning, we do really cool stuff here. I mean, look, you can host a webcast, you can launch a rocket, you can build engines. If you want to learn more, go to blueorigin.com/careers, because we would love to have you help us build the road to space. And as you just saw, we're pretty good at it.
We're going to Mars today. We're going to Moon. The Moon is a team. We're also going our own payloads to Mars. You want to build those, you said, build the road to space, come join us. But hey, maybe maybe you're not ready for that step. That's okay. You still want to help celebrate this moment. You can get some great launch gear in our Blue Origin shop. Pick up the, oh, look at that sweet mission patch to capture today's momentous events. Join us, visit online, shop.blueorigin.com.
Yeah, real quick, we have to plug this pack. A couple of things to notice. New Glenn's second stage mission, ascending to Mars with Escapade. Top right, you'll see the viewers who tuned in to watch this historic launch.
You too were part of today's history. And to the many people at Blue Origin who has spent years designing this rocket, building this rocket, testing it, getting it ready for today. We want to say thank you to you. We also want to say thank you to the FAA and to the range down here in Florida for supporting us, to the state of Florida, from the governor on down. Thank you. You are part of this team as well. This is going to conclude our second mission for New Glenn. The next era of space flight at Blue Origin is upon us.
It feels so good to say that. Once again, my name is Tab Philipkin. For myself, Ariane Cornell, Eddie Safer, and every single person here at Blue Origin, more than 10,000 employees, we want to say thank you, and we are going to see you on the next launch. Welcome to the next era for Blue Origin. Until next time, stay cool and Gradata Paraster. Once again, my name is Tab Philipkin. For myself, Ariane Cornell, Eddie Safer, and every single person here at Blue Origin, more than 10,000 employees, we want to say thank you, and we are going to see you on the next launch. Welcome to the next era for Blue Origin. Until next time, stay cool and Gradata Paraster.
.36 on Cape Canaveral. 7 BE-4 engines will ignite and propel the rocket upward with over 3.8 million pounds of thrust, or roughly 17,000 kilonewtons. The vehicle will quickly reach supersonic speeds as it climbs through the atmosphere. As the rocket ascends, it will encounter maximum aerodynamic pressure, known as max Q, at around 40,000 feet or 12 kilometers. This is the point at which the stress on the vehicle is at its highest. Around 3 minutes into the flight, the vehicle will turn off its engines, marking the end of the boost phase. Shortly after, the reusable first stage will separate and begin its journey back to Earth. 2 BE-3U engines on the second stage will ignite and propel it onward into orbit with the payload. The reusable booster reorients in the vacuum of space using its reaction control system. At 220,000 feet or 67 kilometers, it executes an exo-atmospheric deceleration burn using its Center 3 engines. These engines gimbal for maximum control of the booster. This burn slows the vehicle down before re-entering the atmosphere. As it descends, the booster's strakes and fins work together to slow it down and guide it autonomously back to Earth, landing on a vessel at sea. At around 9,000 feet or just under 3,000 meters, the first stage begins its final landing burn. The 3 middle engines will light for 20 seconds, slowing the vehicle in preparation for the final descent. The 2 outer engines will turn off, and the center engine will execute the final controlled maneuver onto the landing platform. The vessel will return to Cape Canaveral to prepare for its next mission. Meanwhile, in space, the second stage will continue to power the payload towards its final orbit. At around 400,000 feet or 120 kilometers, the payload fairings will jettison. New Glenn will deliver an unprecedented range of payloads: large satellites, dual payloads, orbital vehicles, large constellation dispensers, even moonlanders destined to establish permanent human presence on the moon. Once it arrives at its insertion location, the payload will separate from New Glenn's second stage. The second stage can easily maneuver to deliver any payload to any required orbit. This is New Glenn. This is how we will build a road to space.
New Glenn has already made history. On its second flight, Blue Origin's powerful orbital-class rocket lifted off from Launch Complex 36 at Cape Canaveral. 7 BE-4 engines roared to life, delivering over 3.8 million pounds of thrust and propelling the massive vehicle skyward at incredible speed. The rocket soared through Max Q, the moment of peak aerodynamic stress, before the first stage engine shut down and the reusable booster separated cleanly. While the second stage continued pushing the payload toward orbit, the booster performed a flawless exo-atmospheric deceleration burn, reoriented itself, and began its dramatic return to Earth. Guided by strakes and fins, it executed a perfect landing burn and touched down gently on the recovery vessel at sea, another successful booster recovery for Blue Origin. This flight once again proved New Glenn's capability to deliver large satellites, constellation dispensers, orbital vehicles, and even future moonlanders into any required orbit. Now, the countdown is on for something even bigger. New Glenn 3 is coming soon. The next step in Blue Origin's mission to make space more accessible, reusable, and routine. With each launch, we're building the road to space, one powerful flight at a time. Stay on this broadcast so you don't miss the New Glenn 3 launch.
New Glenn lifts off from Launch Complex 36 on Cape Canaveral. 7 BE-4 engines will ignite and propel the rocket upward with over 3.8 million pounds of thrust.
One minute later, at T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds, the vehicle will transition to internal power, so it will stop taking power from the ground support systems and will instead use its onboard batteries to stay powered up. 1 minute later, 30 seconds before launch, we will see two events. The visual event will be the water deluge starting. This huge water deluge will start filling up the trench to protect the trench, protect the ground systems, and dampen the sound coming from New Glenn's 7 BE-4 engines. At the same time, we won't see this, but Blue Origin calls it autopilot. They say autopilot will be enabled. I think that's their way of saying that the vehicle will take control of the countdown and prepare for flight. Because of course, the vehicle is always on autopilot. It is never going to have someone hand flying with a joystick. This vehicle always is going to fly itself. But that's what they call it. They call it autopilot. 5.6 seconds, the 0.6 seconds is very important, before launch, the BE-4 engines will start up and then throttle up for launch power, of course taking place 0 seconds before launch. And in terms of the immediate timeline after launch, the key event...
Middle engines will light for 20 seconds, slowing the vehicle in preparation for the final descent. The two outer engines will turn off, and the center engine will execute the final controlled maneuver onto the landing platform. The vessel will return to Cape Canaveral to prepare for its next mission. Meanwhile, in space, the second stage will continue to power the payload towards its final orbit. At around 400,000 feet or 120 kilometers, the payload fairings will jettison. New Glenn will deliver an unprecedented range of payloads: large satellites, dual payloads, orbital vehicles, large constellation dispensers, even moonlanders destined to establish permanent human presence on the moon. Once it arrives at its insertion location, the payload will separate from New Glenn's second stage. The second stage can easily maneuver to deliver any payload to any required orbit. This is New Glenn.
Now, the countdown is on for something even bigger. New Glenn 3 is coming soon, the next step in Blue Origin's mission to make space more accessible, reusable, and routine. With each launch, we're building the road to space, one powerful flight at a time. Stay on this broadcast so you don't miss the New Glenn 3 launch.
New Glenn lifts off from Launch Complex 36 on Cape Canaveral. 7 BE-4 engines will ignite and propel the rocket upward with over 3.8 million pounds of thrust, or roughly 17,000 kilonewtons. The vehicle will quickly reach supersonic speeds as it climbs through the atmosphere. As the rocket ascends, it will encounter maximum aerodynamic pressure, known as max Q, at around 40,000 feet or 12 kilometers. This is the point at which the stress on the vehicle is at its highest. Around 3 minutes into the flight, the vehicle will turn off its engines, marking the end of the boost phase. Shortly after, the reusable first stage will separate and begin its journey back to Earth. 2 BE-3U engines on the second stage will ignite and propel it onward into orbit with the payload. The reusable booster reorients in the vacuum of space using its reaction control system. At 220,000 feet or 67 kilometers, it executes an exo-atmospheric deceleration burn using its Center 3 engines. These engines gimbal for maximum control of the booster. This burn slows the vehicle down before re-entering the atmosphere. As it descends, the booster's strakes and fins work together to slow it down and guide it autonomously back to Earth, landing on a vessel at sea. At around 9,000 feet or just under 3,000 meters, the first stage begins its final landing burn. The 3 middle engines will light for 20 seconds, slowing the vehicle in preparation for the final descent. The 2 outer engines will turn off, and the center engine will execute the final controlled maneuver onto the landing platform. The vessel will return to Cape Canaveral to prepare for its next mission. Meanwhile, in space, the second stage will continue to power the payload towards its final orbit. At around 400,000 feet or 120 kilometers, the payload fairings will jettison. New Glenn will deliver an unprecedented range of payloads: large satellites, dual payloads, orbital vehicles, large constellation dispensers, even moonlanders destined to establish permanent human presence on the moon. Once it arrives at its insertion location, the payload will separate from New Glenn's second stage. The second stage can easily maneuver to deliver any payload to any required orbit. This is New Glenn. This is how we will build a road to space.
New Glenn has already made history. On its second flight, Blue Origin's powerful orbital-class rocket lifted off from Launch Complex 36 at Cape Canaveral. 7 BE-4 engines roared to life, delivering over 3.8 million pounds of thrust and propelling the massive vehicle skyward at incredible speed. The rocket soared through Max Q, the moment of peak aerodynamic stress, before the first stage engine shut down and the reusable booster separated cleanly. While the second stage continued pushing the payload toward orbit, the booster performed a flawless exo-atmospheric deceleration burn, reoriented itself, and began its dramatic return to Earth. Guided by strakes and fins, it executed a perfect landing burn and touched down gently on the recovery vessel at sea, another successful booster recovery for Blue Origin. This flight once again proved New Glenn's capability to deliver large satellites, constellation dispensers, orbital vehicles, and even future moonlanders into any required orbit. Now, the countdown is on for something even bigger. New Glenn 3 is coming soon, the next step in Blue Origin's mission to make space more accessible, reusable, and routine. With each launch, we're building the road to space one powerful flight at a time. Stay on this broadcast so you don't miss the New Glenn 3 launch.
New Glenn lifts off from Launch Complex 36 on Cape Canaveral. 7 BE-4 engines will ignite and propel the rocket upward with over 3.8 million pounds of thrust, or roughly 17,000 kilonewtons. The vehicle will quickly reach supersonic speeds as it climbs through the atmosphere. As the rocket ascends, it will encounter maximum aerodynamic pressure, known as Max Q, at around 40,000 feet or 12 kilometers. This is the point at which the stress on the vehicle is at its highest. Around 3 minutes into the flight, the vehicle will turn off its engines, marking the end of the boost phase. Shortly after, the reusable first stage will separate and begin its journey back to Earth. 2 BE-3U engines on the second stage will ignite and propel it onward into orbit with the payload. The reusable booster reorients in the vacuum of space using its reaction control system. At 220,000 feet or 67 kilometers, it executes an exo-atmospheric deceleration burn using its Center 3 engines. These engines gimbal for maximum control of the booster. This burn slows the vehicle down before re-entering the atmosphere. As it descends, the booster's strakes and fins work together to slow it down and guide it autonomously back to Earth, landing on a vessel at sea. At around 9,000 feet or just under 3,000 meters, the first stage begins its final landing burn. The 3 middle engines will light for 20 seconds, slowing the vehicle in preparation for the final descent. The 2 outer engines will turn off, and the center engine will execute the final controlled maneuver onto the landing platform. The vessel will return to Cape Canaveral to prepare for its next mission. Meanwhile, in space, the second stage will continue to power the payload towards its final orbit. At around 400,000 feet or 120 kilometers, the payload fairings will jettison. New Glenn will deliver an unprecedented range of payloads: large satellites, dual payloads, orbital vehicles, large constellation dispensers, even moonlanders destined to establish permanent human presence on the moon. Once it arrives at its insertion location, the payload will separate from New Glenn's second stage. The second stage can easily maneuver to deliver any payload to any required orbit. This is New Glenn. This is how we will build a road to space.
New Glenn has already made history. On its second flight, Blue Origin's powerful orbital-class rocket lifted off from Launch Complex 36 at Cape Canaveral. 7 BE-4 engines roared to life, delivering over 3.8 million pounds of thrust and propelling the massive vehicle skyward at incredible speed. The rocket soared through Max Q, the moment of peak aerodynamic stress, before the first stage engine shut down and the reusable booster separated cleanly. While the second stage continued pushing the payload toward orbit, the booster performed a flawless exo-atmospheric deceleration burn, reoriented itself, and began its dramatic return to Earth. Guided by strakes and fins, it executed a perfect landing burn and touched down gently on the recovery vessel at sea, another successful booster recovery for Blue Origin. This flight once again proved New Glenn's capability to deliver large satellites, constellation dispensers, orbital vehicles, and even future moonlanders into any required orbit. Now, the countdown is on for something even bigger. New Glenn 3 is coming soon. The next step in Blue Origin's mission to make space more accessible, reusable, and routine. With each launch, we're building the road to space, one powerful flight at a time. Stay on this broadcast so you don't miss the New Glenn 3 launch.
New Glenn lifts off from Launch Complex 36 on Cape Canaveral. 7 BE-4 engines will ignite and propel the rocket upward with over 3.8 million pounds of thrust, or roughly 17,000 kilonewtons. The vehicle will quickly reach supersonic speeds as it climbs through the atmosphere. As the rocket ascends, it will encounter maximum aerodynamic pressure, known as Max Q, at around 40,000 feet or 12 kilometers. This is the point at which the stress on the vehicle is at its highest. Around 3 minutes into the flight, the vehicle will turn off its engines, marking the end of the boost phase. Shortly after, the reusable first stage will separate and begin its journey back to Earth. 2 BE-3U engines on the second stage will ignite and propel it onward into orbit with the payload. The reusable booster reorients in the vacuum of space using its reaction control system. At 220,000 feet or 67 kilometers, it executes an
Good morning and welcome to launch day at Rocket Park.
What you're looking at right now is New Glenn live on the pad at Launch Complex 36 here on Florida's Space Coast, which is also the home to our New Glenn manufacturing facility, also known as Rocket Park.
This is our third New Glenn launch and it is a big one. The booster you're about to see fly today has flown to space before on NG2. Its name, Never Tell Me the Odds.
Now Tabitha and I are going to walk you through all of it. The countdown, the launch, and we're going to bring that booster home a second time.
I'm Tabitha Lipkin.
And I'm Alice Watts.
And this is NG3.
The Earth is finite. There is no plan B. We have to save this planet. Space is the only way to go. If we move out into the solar system, we have unlimited resources. We can have 1 trillion humans in the solar system. This would be an incredible civilization. And it's this generation's job to build that road to space. And then amazing things will happen.
Welcome back. A quick recap of what today is. Now, this is our third flight of New Glenn and our second flight of our booster, Never Tell Me the Odds, meaning this is the first time a New Glenn booster is flying to space for a second time.
And a special welcome to the team over at AST Space Mobile, because the payload on board today is your Bluebird 7 satellite. Part of the constellation that's building cell phone networks that you can connect to from your regular phone anywhere in the world.
Now, we are inside the gateway of Rocket Park. Behind these walls here, that is where New Glenn comes to life on our factory floor. Now, once again, I'm Tabitha Lipkin, and joining me to take you on this journey today is Alice Watts here of our Launch System Architecture team. Out at Cars Park, we have our Ben Durkee, who's a mechanical operator on the launch execution team, and on console, who will walk us through every step of launch and landing, is Patrick Moore, our principal mission integrator. Great team we have today.
Now, the launch window opens up at 6:45 a.m. Eastern Time and closes 2 hours later at 8:45 a.m. Right now, New Glenn is on the pad at Launch Complex 36. Both stages are fully fueled. The pad has been cleared of all personnel, and our launch operations team are on console upstairs here at Rocket Park.
2 goals for today. Let's talk through them. Number 1, safely deliver the AST Bluebird satellite to orbit for our customer. Number 2, fly this booster a second time and land it once again. Before we get to launch, though, I want to bring in Megan Lewis da Silva. Megan is not only a launch director herself, but she is the director of launch directors. And Megan, you took the time to come down here and talk to us really quickly. I want you to walk us through the big milestones that lie ahead before launch and after launch.
Yeah, so right now we are as configured as we can be at this point in the count. We're just standing by for our L-17 go pull for terminal count, at which point we'll check in with everybody on the team to get their go or no go for terminal count. Once we get the go, we'll move forward with our final configurations for the day just prior to that terminal count sequence. At that point, we'll be warming up our hydraulic power units, doing things like dialing in our engine temperatures. We'll also take our hold fire switches to the launch position. And then at T-minus 4 minutes, we'll hand over control to the terminal count sequencer, which is our final choreographed ground sequence that completes all those last configurations for the launch. That one's doing things like initiating our big water flow to protect the launch pad during ignition. We're also doing transferring power to the vehicle internal battery power. We'll be doing our final pressurizations to flight pressures. And then at T-minus 15 seconds, we'll hand over control to the launch vehicle itself. And at that point, the rocket will be flying itself. And then we'll go through the nominal launch in-flight phases as well.
Pretty exciting stuff there.
Now, I know we're flying this booster for a second time. Is there anything different or special about flying a reused booster?
So not for today's countdown. There's nothing different about a refurbished booster. The different part actually already happened when the booster returned from NG2. We went through that refurbishment period, which was our first time going through that period. And as we do this more often, and again, we'll be able to repeat that process and get, dial that in and get it faster over time.
So I have to ask you, you were able to come down here because soon we could see you as mission director. Who is on console as launch director today, and what goes into being mission director?
Yeah, so today's launch director is Brian Struve. He's doing his final certification flight with his instructor is Ben Dykstra. So those are our launch directors today. As a mission director, that role is a little different than the launch director role that's actually executing the countdown. The mission director actually sits in our mission support room, and they're communications with our executive leadership team, our external partners, our launch management team, as well as they're in a direct line of communication with the customer, which today is AST Space Mobile. So they're just providing that opportunity for the customer to ensure that they get a voice on launch day. And then in the event that anything significant happens today, that launch management team is there to evaluate and make a recommendation for a path forward.
Awesome.
And last but not least, what was today's launch day song for you and the team?
So for the crew, we went with the Han Solo song, The Odds, which is a Nerd Out song on YouTube, which is very fitting for this booster and for this crew today.
Indeed. We went with Thunderstruck by AC/DC. It's really hyped up. So Megan Lewis da Silva, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you've got to get back over to Mission Control, so we really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks, Megan.
Awesome. So here's the thing. We got a little inside look at what happens in Mission Control on game day, but we want to check in with our own Ben Durkee, who's out at Cars Park, where Team Blue and guests are gathered, watching, of course, with coffee in hand. But Rockets, they have a way of waking people up pretty early. Ben, what are people saying about NG3?
Thanks so much. We're here live in beautiful, serene Cars Park on Merritt Island, Florida. The air is still, but you can feel the anticipation in it, like static electricity. The people are here in droves, excited for the launch, and I'm here with my new friend, Sam. Sam, how early did you get here to watch this thing?
4 o'clock. Was here super early, trying to get a good spot. Got tripod set up, ready to be excited for New Glenn 3.
Love it. You got front row seats. The ball's in our court to put on a good show for you now. Now, as I understand it, you're a Blue employee.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for Blue?
Yeah, so I work on the Florida Factory Automation team, build robotic systems to allow us to build better, quicker, higher quality robotic systems, new inspections, welding, all kinds of different.
Love to hear it. Quality control, automation, sweet. Well, thank you so much for your hard work and for being here today. Love to have you. There you have it, folks. Sam is just one of many incredible Blue employees here to see the fruits of their labor. Now let's toss it to our customer AST Space Mobile to learn a little bit about the payload.
AST Space Mobile's Bluebird satellites are unlike anything in orbit today. They're not just satellites, they're cell towers in space, designed to connect to today's existing smartphones.
And that's Falafel. Who will be the tagger?
Jimmy! Arun.
Fuck
Lisa.
Ah! What the fuck? Look at this guy!
I cleaned the slide!
You cleaned it?
Yep.
I spit out the slide. Bro! And that's Falafel. Who will be the tagger?
Jimmy! Arun.
Fuck Lisa.
Ah!
What the fuck? Look at this guy!
I cleaned the slide.
You cleaned it?
Yep.
I spit on the slide. Bro! Cleaned it?
Yep.
I spit on the slide. Bro! Cleaned it?
Yep.
I spit on the slide.
Go. CMB. Go. Yeah, go for terminal count.
All right. Now let's take a moment here. We are at L minus 16 and a half minutes. Let's take a look at New Glenn by the numbers. Let's take a look at New Glenn by the numbers. Going to low Earth orbit, or LEO, New Glenn can carry almost 45 metric tons, which is equivalent to 20 full-size trucks. To geostationary transfer orbit, or GTO, which is where most of the communication satellites live, it's a much higher orbit, it can carry around 13 metric tons or 6 pickup trucks. Now those fins that you see near the top of the booster, each are about 16 feet long, roughly the size of a car, and they're a part of how the booster steers itself back home through the atmosphere. Now the landing legs, they only take 8 seconds to deploy. They stay tucked away during flight so they're not exposed to re-entry heat. The whole vehicle stands 321 feet tall. And now on the right-hand side of your screen, you will see our engines.
The BE-3U engine on the upper stage, they're 14.5 feet tall and each generate 175,000 pounds of thrust. The BE-4 engines that are on the first stage are just over 12 feet tall and each generate 550,000 pounds of thrust. And we're on a path to get those BE-4s up to 640,000 pounds of thrust. Now let's take a moment here and throw it back to Ben. He's with everyone out at Cars Park. Ben, you're watching today not only as a fan, but you're also on our launch execution team. Tell the viewers and tell me a little bit about what your team does on a day like today.
That's absolutely right. Thank you, Alice. I have the immense privilege of working out at our launch pad, Launch Complex 36. And while we've touched on the details of the vehicle, I would like to talk a little bit about my team's pride and joy, our TE, or Transporter Erector. Now, on paper, the TE does exactly as advertised. It's that giant steel beast you see in the shadow of the rocket that rolls the launch vehicle out to the pad and points it up at the sky where it's meant to be. But if you take a closer look, there is a complex symphony of systems that need to work in concert to enable a New Glenn launch. So it's my team's responsibility to operate those systems during a launch campaign and to improve upon them in the interim. That's mechanically, electrically, software-ally, you name it, we wear a lot of hats. So while I'm out here enjoying this beautiful sunrise with this incredible crowd, the rest of my team is in the launch control room, laser focused on getting ready for our most critical moment, which is at T-0. Right at that moment, you'll see the TE do a little bit of a Michael Jackson lean away from the launch vehicle, and the purpose of that maneuver is to disconnect our umbilicals, which fuel and power the rocket, hold the vehicle steady, it removes the vehicle stabilizers, and it just gets the TE out of the way so that New Glenn has a wide open sky to launch into the instant it's free and clear of the launch table. Now, as much as I would love to talk your ear off about these systems I know so dearly, it's high time I pass the talking stick to my friend Tabitha. Take us away.
Ben, I could listen to you talk about that all day. Thank you so much. Right now, we're about L-13 minutes from launch, and this is where things get very serious for our team. So we have Patrick Moore, who is inside Mission Control, and he's going to be the voice walking us through this flight. Patrick, can you talk a little bit about what's happening in there right now?
Yeah. Hey, Tabitha and Alice. I'm here in the mission control room. In the room here with me is a group of Blue Origin and AST team members, and they're supporting the launch from a number of different functions. Today's countdown has been pretty calm overall. The team has been working through the countdown processes. Now that we're coming up on L-12 minutes, things start getting a little quieter as everyone's listening close to the communication nets and watching their screens. But this is where things get really exciting. So coming up next is going to be the terminal count starting at L-4 minutes. This is where the rocket and ground systems go through their final automated checks that lead up to the final pre-launch activation activities. So in terminal count, you should expect to see things like the tank vents are going to lock up, the hydraulic pump starts spinning up. We're going to transfer control from the ground system to the flight computers on the rocket. We're going to start the big water system, and then finally you'll see the engines light and then lift off. After liftoff, you're going to be hearing from me again, where I'll be looking at real-time data that's coming in to me here on the screen, and I'll be talking over the commnet to tell you what's happening in flight. Looking forward to it. Talk to you again soon. Back to you, Tabitha.
Thanks, Patrick. We are definitely looking forward to hearing from you and seeing you again. Now that you've seen inside of Mission Control, we want to introduce you to our team all around the country. We're talking about Huntsville, Alabama. We've got Launch Site 1 out in West Texas, Kent, Washington, and of course everyone here on Florida's Space Coast. Huge shout out to Team Blue for showing up today, of course, for the launch of NG3. So excited to be a part of this incredible team. Now, let's bring it back out to New Glenn on the pad. Earlier this week, I got the chance to catch up with our Vice President of New Glenn, Jordan Charles, who walked me through the history of LC-36 and the launch pad, as well as the upgrades and what our team is looking forward to learning about NG3. Jordan, I want to start by talking about this historic launch complex and what people may not know about LC-36.
Yeah, well, this is LC-36. We were here at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. We like to call it our mile marker 0 for our interplanetary road to space, which is really what we're trying to do with New Glenn. A lot of people really, when they look at rocket launches and they think about rocket launches, they think about the complexity of the rocket. Often overlooked, though, is the complexity of all the ground systems that have to support the rocket. And those ground systems all have to work in unison with the systems on the rocket on the day of launch as we're going through a terminal count sequence to actually successfully launch the rocket. And this pad is an incredible feat of civil, mechanical, and controls engineering.
And beyond that, I mean, can you tell me a little bit about like the history of this complex and kind of some of the upgrades you had to do? It sounds like some of the autonomous systems are part of that.
So LC-36 has a long history. Atlas program used to launch out of here. Some of the most famous and ambitious interplanetary science missions in the history of humanity launched right from here back in the 70s and the 80s. And you know, at the same time, we've really tried to modernize this launch pad for the 21st century and beyond. So it is a clean slate, new launch pad, all new systems. We really didn't use too much of the infrastructure from you know, the heritage days of LC-36, and we took it up to its modern standards.
Well, let's talk about New Glenn. You know, New Glenn is behind us out on the pad. How is NG3 different than previous New Glenn missions, and how will New Glenn, I guess, continue to develop for future missions?
Well, NG3 is a huge flight for us. It's the first flight of our reflown booster. We had a very successful second flight where we were able to recover this booster. And on that second flight, we learned a lot. You know, we had some things that were surprising that we weren't expecting to learn. We had a lot of very pleasant surprises. So this flight, we're very much looking to see some of the changes that we made from the second flight, see how they perform on this next flight. It's going to be historic for us. This is the first time we're flying a reused booster. Definitely super proud of our refurbishment team for getting this rocket turned around in the time that they did, and I think we can go even faster as we move forward.
Can you tell me a little bit about those changes that we made that you're looking at, especially as we are relaunching them? Tell me the odds.
One of the things we did with this particular booster is we added all new engines. There's a couple reasons why we did that. So we're definitely looking to see how those engines perform in this flight. We refurbished our thermal protection system on the back end of the rocket as well. That gets pretty hot as you're coming in during our re-entry process. So we want to definitely see and correlate a bit better our thermal environments as we're flying this particular mission. And then, you know, in terms of our guidance, navigation, and control schemes, we made a few tweaks with respect to how the rocket actually re-enters. And then on the inside of the rocket, just making sure all of our systems continue to work as we expect that they will.
Jordan, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And Alice, it was so great to be able to talk to Jordan Charles about the importance of this mission and why it, of course, also matters to our customers. We're getting really close now, so I've joined you up here at the desk. So let's walk viewers through essentially what they're going to see with this flight profile.
Yeah, let's take a look. All right, so at liftoff, 7 BE-4 engines on the booster will ignite and push New Glenn off the pad with 3.8 million pounds of thrust. About a minute and a half in, then New Glenn will go supersonic, which is faster than the speed of sound. Just after that, at around 40,000 feet, New Glenn will hit max Q, where the aerodynamic stresses on the vehicle are at the highest.
Yeah, then right around the 3-minute mark, the booster engines shut off. That's the end of the boost phase. This is where the rocket splits in two. The first stage, our booster, starts its trip back to Earth. The second stage keeps going with the satellite on top. The booster then flips itself around using small thrusters, fires its engines for a re-entry burn to slow down through the atmosphere, and then lets its computers guide it in, and then fires what we call a final landing burn to touchdown. It's aiming for our recovery ship, Jacqueline. That's a big floating platform out at sea about 375 miles off the coast.
Now, while all of that is happening, the upper stage is climbing towards orbit on its 2 BE-3U engines. At about 360,000 feet, the payload fairings, those are the protective clamshells that cover the satellite, they'll split open and drop away. About an hour and 16 minutes after liftoff, the AST Bluebird satellite then separates from the vehicle.
And Alice, New Glenn is a really capable vehicle, the same rocket that can take AST's satellite exactly where it needs to go. Where it needs to go. We'll
Now, in the last 4 minutes or so, just before launch, New Glenn switches over to fully autonomous mode, meaning the vehicle's own flight computers take over and the people on the ground stop commanding it directly.
Yeah, this is where we want to hand it off to our Patrick Moore, who is inside Mission Control, who you saw earlier. He's going to take us through launch and landing.
Active. TCS support on FS3, LH2, and close your arm.
All stations. TCS, stand by. TSW has TCS aboard saving complete.
All right, if you have been following along on your screen, you see the T clock. It has stopped at 3 minutes and 57 seconds. We are currently in a hold. We will stay here on New Glenn. I'm going to find out some more information about this hold and get that information back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to inform you that the Blue Origin New Glenn 3 launch has been interrupted. This decision was made to allow time for an important announcement. We are fortunate to have with us Mr. Jeff Bezos, who will now step forward and explain everything in full detail. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to inform you that the Blue Origin New Glenn 3 launch has been interrupted. This decision was made to allow time for an important announcement. We are fortunate to have with us Mr. Jeff Bezos, who will now step forward and explain everything in full detail. Stay with us.
Hey everybody. Yeah, what a day. We're all gathered here for the Blue Origin New Glenn 3 launch. This historic and incredible moment where Blue Origin is sending its powerful, reusable, heavy-lift rocket on another critical flight, advancing America's leadership in commercial spaceflight. Commander of the mission operations, the dedicated Blue Origin team, and our partners are ready aboard the launch complex. The massive New Glenn rocket is fully stacked and fueled, the countdown was live, and the whole world is watching as we prepare to push the boundaries of reusable rocketry and open new possibilities in space. But look, I've got to be straight with you right from the start. The New Glenn 3 launch itself is being postponed for a short technical hold. We're standing by because of a last-minute standard procedure to ensure every system is perfect before liftoff. While we wait, something really exciting just came together that ties directly into why we're building New Glenn and working toward a future of millions of people living and working in space. This isn't a problem. This is the perfect opportunity to celebrate the spirit of New Glenn and Blue Origin's vision in a unique way by connecting it to the future of money. New Glenn 3 represents Blue Origin's commitment to building the next generation of heavy-lift, fully reusable rockets. Standing over 320 feet tall with 7 BE-4 engines, it's designed to deliver massive payloads to orbit, support lunar missions, and help establish a true spacefaring economy. This vehicle is a key step in our long-term roadmap to make space accessible, affordable, and routine. And at the heart of it all is the same philosophy that has guided Blue Origin from day one. Gradual, relentless, is exactly what version of reusable rockets, like New Glenn. No unnecessary gate.
Are you looking at 4x4s on cars.com again?
I honestly don't know what you're...
New T0 is forthcoming. Now, while we're in this hold, I'm going to talk about
and watching their screens. But this is where things get really exciting.
Showing up today of this week. I got
with New Glenn. A lot of people really want,
which is 98 meters. This is an orbital launch vehicle built around a single idea. If we're going to have millions of people eventually living and working in space, we need a much cheaper, much more reliable way to get there. It can carry up to 45 metric tons to low Earth orbit and 13 metric tons to geostationary transfer orbit. The higher orbit used by a lot of those communication satellites. Now, the first stage, the booster, is designed to fly at least 25 times. Every time we land it and fly it again, instead of throwing it away, the cost of going to space comes down. And the fairings, that's the protective nose cones that cover the payload, is 7 meters wide. That's about twice the usable volume of most fairings that are flying today, which means we can carry bigger and more ambitious things. New Glenn isn't just changing how we get to space, it's changing what's possible once we get there.
the size, the capability, the payload volume of New Glenn was all developed not only for today, but for the future. We have a first stage that is designed from the ground up to be operationally reusable. We have a second stage that is one of the largest upper stages to ever fly to space.
New Glenn being a reusable launch vehicle is so beneficial to future lunar missions. It's going to allow us to keep that cadence going, where we'll be able to launch multiple landers over and over again so that we can reduce the cost of access to the moon.
It is designed to be an incredibly resilient vehicle with a tremendous amount of mass-to-orbit capability. We can do anything from low Earth orbit missions, where we're deploying a whole lot of small spacecraft, to geostationary missions, where we've got a large monolithic spacecraft.
We can do very large modules of future commercial space stations on a single launch. We can take dozens and up to 50 to 100 satellites per New Glenn mission. It is our avenue to significantly reduce the cost of access to space.
We've been working with a huge variety of customers, and they're really rethinking their business models because of what New Glenn unlocks for them.
New Glenn will be able to launch a lander to the moon in a single launch. That's an incredible capability that this one launch vehicle will be able to do. We built these landers specifically to fly with New Glenn. And that's what's so great about having the launch vehicle and the landers all part of Blue Origin, is that we work together.
It really is the infrastructure, the building block, the foundation of how Blue Origin will enable building a road to space.
We've got a number of programs we're working on which will benefit national security customers and other customers, providing on-orbit maneuvering capabilities. We're working, of course, with our own internal teams to deliver new capabilities that Blue is bringing. But New Glenn is going to be delivering all kinds of spacecraft today, all kinds of new systems, all kinds of capabilities. And New Glenn is the vehicle that can take NASA or anyone, anywhere in the solar system.
We foundationally developed New Glenn for what we think space is going to look like 50 to 100 years from now.
It will allow us to go to the moon, to asteroids and other
live view of New Glenn out on the pad. We are still in a hold at T-minus 3 minutes and 57 seconds.
Yeah, let's sit on the rocket just for a minute. Looks beautiful, of course, over at sunrise, and we'll be back with you shortly. throughout the country, you can see New Glenn take to the skies today. This graphic shows where you'll be able to see New Glenn as it climbs through southeast of the southern eastern part of the United States.
Yeah, so within 60 seconds, New Glenn will be visible across all of the Space Coast here in Florida.
And then within a minute and a half, NG3 will be visible as far as Orlando.
Within 2 minutes, people on the west coast of Florida will be able to see our launch.
And then around 2.5 minutes, we will be able to see it in Georgia. All right, we're going to toss it back over to the rocket right now as NG3 is out on the pad. We're at T-minus 3 minutes and 57 seconds. And again, we are in hold.
Now, if you just joined us, this is the mission NG3, third flight to New Glenn. And now, while we are in a hold, we wanted to take a few minutes to share some of our big milestones of the lunar program here at Blue Origin. On your screens is our Mark 1 lunar Endurance. It just finished critical round testing at NASA's Johnson Space Center.
Yeah, you're looking at New Glenn on your screen, but there's that, there's Endurance. Yeah. Now, they did what is called a thermal vacuum test, or TVAC. Now, it does simulate the extreme temperatures and vacuum of space, so we can prove the lander will survive everything that it's going to go through and face on its way to the moon and the lunar surface itself.
And the place that this test happened really matters. Endurance went to back in the same chamber that once tested the Apollo 10 module and the Apollo lunar lander, the same chamber that helped humans get to the moon.
Endurance just got back to Florida. In fact, as I talked about with John, I got stopped in traffic as I watched Endurance come back, and we've got a full test campaign ahead.
Yeah, now that test campaign includes modal testing, separation shock testing, and electromagnetic compatibility testing, along with some vibration testing. Each one checks a different way the lander is stressed, shaken, or interfered with.
Each test gets us one step closer to launch and ultimately to landing on the moon. Right now, you are watching NG3. New Glenn is out on the pad. We are currently in a hold, and we're going to toss it back over to the rocket as we await more information.
Final moments leading up to launch, as well as her family connection to this flight.
I think anyone who's interested in rockets is super curious as to what happens in this world as we're coming from the first flight.
All of the operators, we have our console, right, which is just like a computer that has virtual buttons that will click in the computer and send commands over the fiber network to the vehicle and launch pad system. And once the clock passes at T-4, all control gets handed over to that terminal count sequencer that is now controlling the rocket. The launch center sits here in the back row so that we can kind of be able to see the whole operation.
Tell me more about this stuff.
This is Wile E. Coyote. This is a tradition we brought over from the Shepard expedition. When they bring out the rocket to the pad, the flight director at the Shepard is responsible for placing Wile E. Coyote in the launch position, which is like this.
That's so cool because there's already so many crossovers between the programs.
Right, and it's so translatable. The rockets are entirely different scales and entirely different sizes, but from a process perspective, we have been a lot from them.
You come from a line of individuals who also did some great work, and this bracelet is representative of that.
This bracelet is a charm bracelet that my grandfather actually gifted to my grandmother. My grandpa worked on the Apollo missions as an engineer for their crew capsule. At every Apollo mission that he contributed to, he got her a charm. This has 7 charms on it for the 7 missions that he worked, and I wear it for every New Glenn launch. He was so proud of the work that we're doing here in Serena and everything that we've done.
This screen is up, and it's divided into top 3 over 24 million pixels. Now, friends, you were taking a look at New Glenn out on the pad. You were watching NG3. We're going to toss it over to the Rocket as we await another go, no-go poll for terminal count.
Go.
Confirmed all external assets for Nuki 0 at 11:25 p.m.
Gotta go. All stations are LD on count 1.
Сука, блядь! Шики-брики в дамке!
We're gonna be communists. No more food.
Okay, no. What's the weather like outside?
Огонь на подавление! Враг сзади по левому флангу!
That's right.
Okay, no. Turn on the hose I'm holding.
Огонь!
Okay, no. Can I eat this lemon tree leaf?
Врач!
What about this daisy?
Они обходят нас с тыла!
Okay, but I could eat it.
Okay, Gnome, add milk to my shopping list.
Перезаряжают! Прикройте меня!
I keep doing that, sorry.
Они подходят к нам с тыла!
Okay, no. Is this compost?
Противник на северо-востоке! Противник! Северо-запад! Противник на юге! Они атакуют с юго-востока! Замечен противник на юго-западе! Вражеская цель на западе! Противник впереди! Противник слева! Вижу цель слева! Они атакуют слева! Вражеская пехота впереди! Он убегает!
Okay, Gnome, which way is the wind blowing?
А я прикрою второго! Не дайте выжившим сбежать!
Эра-яре. У меня есть ручка, еще есть яблоко. О, яблочная ручка.
А может еще, блядь, без рук можно?
Школа колбасы, веселее, пацаны. Раз, это хардбас. Из спортивку хай-дас. И на найке пацаны. Слушаем хардбас-басы. Это стал любимый, ждем все в ритме колбасы. I'd like an ice cream about this high. Okay, coming right up. What do I owe you? Nothing. It's for free. Free! It's on me.
Pat, that's my money.
Have you learned nothing about sharing?
I wish everyone in Dimsdale would share everything!
land and we secure it and bring it back in.
She's 380 foot long to 150 foot wide, and she's a self-propelled vessel. We are the recovery side of the operation. This is where GS1 is going to land, and actually that feather is a center point.
We have to leave 4 days before launch. We check all our equipment, and we ensure that everything is working, everything is fully functional. We transit for 300 to 400 miles, depending on how far the landing location is. And once we get there, dynamic positioning allows the thrusters on board here will hold this in position within a range of about 10 feet.
We'll have a couple small changes of Jacqueline's position. They're going to feed us new coordinates, right? So we might move 500 yards this direction, a little that way, but we're generally in the area. And right up to like 45 minutes or an hour before, that's our final position.
When the booster lands, the ROV will come out. Once it's mated with the booster effectively, we'll start pumping high pressure nitrogen into the booster, which will allow the detanking process to continue to make the booster inert and safe for us to operate around.
There are many learning platforms out there.
Wait, stand here. Look what I throw on you. You are like a stick there, hooker.
Okay, let's go.
Die!
What that is good. Hello, no video games, man. Well, link in the fucking description, man. Go join, man. Goodbye. What gun do I buy?
Negative. Stand still, stand next to me. You see you're not taller.
I'm 6'11". I'm 6 foot. I can't believe I fell for that bait. Oh my fucking god. Help! Help! Help!
I think we have a Russian in our team. Hello?
Hello?
Are you from Russia?
No, I'm from England, America!
Who's your president?
Michael Jordan!
You're gay.
What?
Wait, stand here. Look what I throw on you. You are like a stick there. The blue arrow, that's my channel. The blue line. You see the red line, that's your channel. Ah, no!
Jump. Goodbye.
Guys, did you have a nice New Year's evening?
Yes.
Hello? Hikes? What? Listen, no. What are you doing? I think your microphone is too loud.
No, this is too loud.
So you take this right there, then you place it in the sauce, like, yes. Then that's good, man. That's fucking yeah.
Yeah, I'm the most polite and polite person ever.
I don't know about that one.
Man, you want power? I should give you power.
I dog your family sometimes. Do you know your mother, Wufu?
Your face right here. I need to know.
Me, man, I first said
I said I fake mid. He goes A. Why do you go A if I fake mid? Tell me.
Russian piece of...
Wait, what? You're Russian?
we're looking at New Glenn out on the pad. This is NG3. We're at L minus 4 minutes and about 30 seconds here. Now, in these final 4 moments that are coming up, New Glenn is switching to its fully autonomous mode, meaning that the flight computer takes over and people on the ground stop commanding it directly.
This is where we hand off to Patrick Moore. He's inside mission control. We talked to him earlier. Now he's going to take us through launch and landing.
Yeah, we do not understand the full impact, whether it's full loss of A functionality or redundancy therein.
All right, we've got Team Blue across the United States. We're talking Kent, Washington, Launch Site 1 in Texas, and of course, Huntsville, Alabama, with a live look at NG New Glenn out on the pad for NG3. We appreciate everyone getting up early, especially our friends out on the West Coast. It is early for them. You will be able to hear from Patrick in just a moment. We're at T-minus 3 minutes into the launch of NG3. Big shout out to you guys. We love you, Team Blue. There is New Glenn. Again, the countdown clock is ticking. T-minus 2 minutes and 40 seconds till launch. Shortly here, you should be able to hear from our Patrick Moore, who is inside mission control.
T-minus 2 minutes. AFQ faster charge. T-minus 130.
You can probably hear our Patrick Moore just faintly. He just said T-minus 130.
Power internal.
T-minus 60 seconds. Rock report range status.
In this last minute here, they've started up the hydraulics on the forward and aft.
Range
You
grade.
might start to see the engines gimbal. The rest will happen very much so in rapid succession. And then the next 15 seconds, we could be seeing what we call big water, which is the water deluge. You can hear New Glenn coming alive out on the pad at T-minus 30 seconds.
GS1 at flight level.
GS2 at flight level.
Yes, this water deluge system that Tabitha just mentioned is turned on, and the system provides acoustic. When turned on, it will provide acoustic suppression to protect the vehicle from shock waves and also to cool the launch pad. There we go.
3, 2,
Big water.
1.
We're at T-minus 3 seconds.
Skyho, provide first motion time. First motion time 11:25:01.
And New Glenn has cleared the tower. As you follow New Glenn's journey along, look to the bottom of your screen. You can see telemetry there, as well as our time clock.
Auto sweeping complete.
GC OSM perform post liftoff fire inspection sweep using LC-36 cameras.
Great shot looking back from New Glenn as it soars to the sky. We're about a minute into flight.
Soon the vehicle will reach maximum dynamic pressure, which is the point at which the pressure on the vehicle is at its highest.
1 minute, 6 seconds.
Beautiful shots from New Glenn.
Body rates continue to look nominal. Data quality is good. Coming down
a little bit now.
Yeah, starting to come in. It looks like it's right down the middle of the corridor.
Trajectory is nominal. Plus 1 minute, 20 seconds. Passing Mach 1.
Oh, we can feel the rumble here in the studio.
1 minute, 30 seconds into flight.
Back to you.
Passing max Q, maximum dynamic pressure.
We have passed max Q. That means the vehicle is supersonic.
Your parameters look good at full thrust. 1 minute, 45 seconds in.
You can hear everything's looking good.
Now 11 kilometers downrange, traveling at 1 kilometer per second.
Traveling 1 kilometer a second. I apologize here. I'm repeating a bit of what Patrick's saying because it sounds a bit low to us. It might sound low to you.
Body rate's nominal. 2 minutes, 10 seconds in. Less than 1 minute to MECO.
Less than 1 minute to MECO, which is main engine cutoff.
Acceleration profile continues to look good. Body rate's
Wow.
nominal. Seeing good activity on
About to
the
pass 2 minutes and 30 seconds into flight.
Trajectory is good.
Trajectory is good.
30 seconds in.
LDO, so
30
count 1.
seconds to MECO.
Go.
About 30 seconds to MECO.
Secondaries observed.
No, the caps.
Body rates continue to look good throughout boost phase.
A lot of things are going to happen really quickly. We're going to have MECO, main engine cutoff, followed shortly by stage separation, and then payload
10 seconds to MECO.
Let's take a look.
2 minutes, 55 seconds in flight.
LDGC, no anomalies from the ground systems.
No, the caps.
Stand by. MECO confirmed.
Correction, now we have MECO. Body rates
We have
nominal.
MECO. Separation.
You're looking down at the two BE3Us.
We have ignition and full thrust on both BE3U engines.
You hear the cheers?
On both BE3Us.
That's Team Blue you hear, by the way. Everything's looking nominal. GS2 ignition in full thrust.
We have payload fairing separation.
Just over 4 minutes into flight. That beautiful blue marble. We can hear that everything is nominal. We've got our long range cameras out on the booster.
Blue is hype. You can hear it in the background.
We're hyped too. While it is a little low to hear Patrick, Alice, you want to walk through what's about to happen now?
Yeah, so GS1 will hit apogee very shortly here, or it might already have. Then once that is confirmed, the booster will begin its descent back to Earth for a beautiful landing on Jacqueline.
All right, we have confirmed apogee. The fully reusable booster will start its descent back, as Alice just said, heading towards Jacqueline, which is our landing platform underway about 375 miles from here.
Then we'll have the atmospheric reentry and the landing burn. And in about 2 minutes, 3 of GS1's engines will relight.
And something that's about to happen here, the booster will go through those burns. The first is about 20 seconds long. The second burn will be at atmospheric reentry.
GS1 continuing through its turn. Body rate's phenomenal.
Passing 6 minutes into flight.
6 minutes into flight. 1 minute remaining engine ignition.
1 minute remaining until engine ignition.
You're looking at a long-range camera. Everything
continues to look good.
It's that little dot in the middle of your screen if you're tracking.
Pressures continue to look good. Body rate's phenomenal. 6 minutes, 35 seconds into flight. GS1's completing its exo turn. Body rate's nulling out in pitch, yaw, and roll. Data quality continues to look good. Standing by for GS1 engine ignition.
Stand by for GS1 engine ignition.
Now passing 7 minutes into flight.
There's a shot of Jacqueline there, past 7 minutes into flight.
GS1. Chamber pressures look good. Body rate control looks good.
Ignition on all 3 engines on GS1 and pressures look good.
Standing by for GS1
Again,
MECO shortly. GS2 engines continue to look good.
GS2 engines continue to look good. We have our Patrick Moore inside mission control, and we are repeating a bit of what he's saying just because it's a little difficult to hear.
GS1 MECO confirmed. Continue to see good data on GS1 and GS2.
Awesome. We have the GS1 booster reentry burn complete. And next up, we will see the landing burn. The vehicle is reorienting itself.
Now passing through GS1 descent max Q.
Passing through GS1 descent max Q. Beautiful shot.
Oh my gosh.
GS1 there.
GS1, seeing good activity on fins.
8.5 minutes into flight.
GS2 is now halfway through burn 1.
About 30 seconds away from that landing burn.
GS2 as expected. Both engines continue to look good.
Sounds like the engines look good.
Coming up on landing burn. And we see 3 good engines on landing burn.
3 good engines on landing burn is what I'm hearing from Patrick.
Are they changing GS1?
They are.
Little low-level clouds. Here we go.
Oh my God.
I'm hearing cheers of a touchdown.
I think touchdown is.
We see a lot of clouds of smoke there, but I'm hearing good cheers. Great drone shots there. There we have it. Welcome back once again. Never tell me the odds. It's good to say that twice, Alice.
Oh my gosh, it sure is. Look at that shot of GS1 on the landing barge. Beautiful landing.
We love it when it hits right in the middle of that feather.
Look at that, beautiful shot.
Jack,
love to see it. It never gets old.
It doesn't. Back home on Earth. Welcome back.
For a second time.
Yeah. It's nice to just sit on this for a second, isn't it?
Team Blue is still going nuts.
Yeah. You can see we're using our drones, making sure we get this beautiful shot for you guys. This is shortly the ROV is going to come in and safe the vehicle. "11 minutes into flight, because of course the show isn't over. The booster is back, but GS2 is going to be delivering our payload for AST.
Yeah, the next milestone coming up for GS2 is going to be SECO 1. We should see that here shortly. We'll watch along again on the timeline.
On the bottom of your screen. Yeah, that's coming up at about the 13-minute mark. Now, SECO 1 stands for second stage engine cutoff number 1. The upper stage finishes its first burn and starts coasting.
And then about an hour and 10 minutes after flight, after liftoff, SECO 1, which is the second engine cutoff, again, for the second time, but a shorter burn. That burn fine-tunes the orbit.
That is for our AST customer, the Bluebird 7 satellite. Big shout out to our friends at AST who are tuning in today. Never tell me the odds. A perfect name if you ask me, Alice. Hey, Team Blue, we hear you. It's the best part of being here, Alice. Team Blue shows up time and time again.
They sure do.
Shouting out.
Early morning.
Early morning. Shout out, of course, to our friends over in Kent, Washington. Extra early for them. Huntsville, Alabama. West Texas over at Launch Site 1. And the home of New Glenn, Rocket Park here in Florida, and our friends who are out at Cars Park as well. Hey guys, looking good.
And I'm hearing SECO 1 is confirmed. That is the second stage engine cutoff, number 1. We just can't get enough of seeing GS1 sitting here on the Jacqueline.
So we have to talk a little bit more, as we mentioned, about what is coming up. So we just passed SECO 1, and then in about an hour and 10 minutes into flight, we'll have SECO 2. That is the second stage engine cutoff, again, after a shorter second burn that fine-tunes the orbit.
And then finally, an hour and 15 minutes and 44 seconds to be exact into flight, the AST Bluebird 7 satellite separates from the second stage, and that's the moment we officially deliver our customer payload to orbit.
Yeah, and of course, bringing back Never Tell Me the Odds is a huge deal for us here, but the mission isn't quite over. Those are the milestones that do still lie ahead. You've got a drone shot there, of course, Jacqueline, and the booster Never Tell Me the Odds, but it's been a great day to be a part of Team Blue. If you want to, you can follow the progress of what's happening with our payload on social media as the flight is progressing.
But before we let you go, if you like what you saw and you want to be part of Team Blue, we are hiring. Come join us. And if you like what we're wearing, we are certainly selling it. And if you want the mission patch, you can find it
Great day to fly. I am Tabitha Wittgen for Alice Washington.
Big water. We're T-minus 3 seconds.
Skydo, provide first motion time. First motion time, 11:25:01.
And New Glenn has cleared the tower. As you follow New Glenn's journey along, look to the bottom of your screen. You can see telemetry there, as well as our time clock.
Completing the pitch over maneuver, strike signal level. 45.
Auto sweeping complete.
GC OSM, perform post-liftoff fire inspection sweep using LC-36 cameras.
Great shot looking back from New Glenn as it soars to the sky. We're about a minute into flight.
Soon the vehicle will reach maximum dynamic pressure, which is the point at which the pressure on the vehicle is at its highest.
1 minute, 6 seconds.
Beautiful shots from New Glenn.
Body rates continue to look nominal. Data quality is good coming down from the
A little bit now.
Yeah, starting to come in. It looks like it's right down the middle of the corridor.
Structure is nominal. Plus 1 minute, 20 seconds. Now passing Mach 1.
Oh, we can feel the rumble here in the studio.
1 minute, 30 seconds.
We have passed max Q. That means the vehicle is supersonic. You can hear everything's looking good.
Now 11 kilometers downwind.
Good.
Now 11 kilometers downwind.
Might sound low to you.
10 seconds in, less than 1 minute to MECO.
Less than 1 minute to MECO, which is main engine cutoff.
Acceleration profile continues to look good. Body rate's
Wow.
nominal. Seems good activity on
About to
fin.
pass 2 minutes and 30 seconds into flight.
Trajectory's good.
Trajectory is
2 minutes,
good.
30 seconds in.
LDO, so
30
count one.
seconds to MECO.
Go.
About 30 seconds to MECO.
Secondaries observed.
Other caps.
Body rates continue to look good throughout boost phase.
A lot of things are going to happen really quickly. We're going to have MECO, main engine cutoff, followed shortly by stage separation, and then payload
10 seconds to MECO.
Let's take a look.
2 minutes, 55 seconds into flight.
LDGC, no anomalies from the ground systems.
Other caps.
Standing by for MECO.
Stand
And we
by.
have MECO.
MECO confirmed.
Correction, now we have MECO. Body rates
We have
nominal.
MECO. Separation.
You're looking down at the two BE3Us.
We have ignition and full thrust on both BE3U engines.
You hear the cheers?
On both BE3Us.
That's Team Blue you hear, by the way. Everything's looking nominal. GS2 ignition in full thrust.
We have payload fairing separation.
The engines look good.
Three good engines on the burn.
3 good engines on landing burn is what I'm hearing from Patrick.
Are they changing GS1?
They are.
Little low-level clouds. Here we go.
Oh my.
I'm hearing cheers of a touchdown.
I think touchdown is.
We see a lot of clouds of smoke there, but I'm hearing good cheers. Great drone shots there. There we have it. Welcome back once again. Never tell me the odds. It's good to say that twice, Alice.
Oh my gosh, it sure is. Look at that shot of GS1 on the landing card. Beautiful landing.
We We can feel.
Seco 1, which is the second engine again, for the second time, but a shorter burn. That burn fine.
That's for our AST customer, Bluebird 7 satellite. Big shout out to our friends at AST who are tuning in today. Never tell me the odds. A perfect.
Слышу голос из прекрасного далека, голос утренний в серебряной росе. Слышу голос и манящая дорога кружит голову, как в детстве карусель. Прекрасное далеко, не будь ко мне жестоко, не будь ко мне жестоко, жестоко не будь от чистого истока. Прекрасное далеко, прекрасное далеко, я начинаю путь. Слышу голос из прекрасного далека, он зовет меня в прекрасные края. Слышу голос, голос спрашивает строго, а сегодня что для завтра сделаю я? Прекрасное далеко, не будь ко мне жестоко, не будь ко мне жестоко, жестоко не будь от чистого истока. Прекрасное далеко, прекрасное далеко, я начинаю путь. Регистрация и посадка на Boeing закончена. Регистрация и посадка на Boeing закончена. Я клянусь, что стану чище и добрее, и в беде не брошу друга никогда. Чище и добрее, и в беде не брошу друга никогда. Чище и...
1,000. 500. 400. 300. 2,500. 1,000. 2,500.